guys, so recently a teen from Michigan applied to the University of Michigan's law school with a 3.8 GPA and a 161 on her LSAT, but was denied admissions. She filed a lawsuit alleging that the university had discriminated against her on the basis of the 14th Amendment, claiming that she was discriminated against because she did not belong to a minority group.
So Isabella, Fadi, can you give me your opinions on this?
Oh, this is amazing. Why she gotta be extra, man? Suing just because of this?
Really? I think it's reverse racism at its finest, honestly. Honestly.
Before we get into this heated debate, let's define affirmative action for our viewers at home.
Affirmative action is admission policies that provide equal access to education for those groups that have been historically excluded or underrepresented, such as women and minorities. Goals of affirmative action include bridging inequalities in employment and pay, increasing access to education, promoting diversity, and redressing apparent past wrongs, harms, or hindrances.
Affirmative action does not require and does not mean quotas or preferment of unqualified or overqualified individuals. Also, it would be hypocritical to suggest that affirmative action, even without quotas, does not diminish the opportunities for some who, in the past, might have benefited from a narrower casting of nets and narrower definition of merit.
Alright girls, let's discuss this.
Affirmative action will help compensate for the fact that due to so many years of oppression, some races started late in the race. So hopefully this will level out the playing field.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, Fadi, because past discrimination against minority groups does not justify present discrimination against non-minorities.
Well, Isabella, if you want to talk about the present, let's say some disadvantaged people who come from areas of the country where there aren't many opportunities. Hopefully this act will help them advance, otherwise they wouldn't be able to.
First of all, just because you're a different race or ethnicity doesn't mean you have a different opinion. And also, affirmative action defeats the purpose of a meritocracy. The best candidate for the college should get admitted, despite race. Aren't we supposed to be colorblind?
Honey, colorblind or not, we all know that racism still exists. And also, race isn't the only factor that could have determined whether or not Barbara got denied, because her spot could have been taken by someone with a sports scholarship, right? Finally, affirmative action doesn't only give advantage to races, it also gives advantage to women. You ain't gonna tell me Barbara ain't a woman, right?
Affirmative action has undermined my intelligence and actually promoted racism. If I were to get into an Ivy League, someone could come up to me and say, you only got in because of affirmative action because you're Latina. And it actually could have been because of my merits.
Interesting points, ladies. Let's hit the streets to see what other people have to say.
Do you know what affirmative action is?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so how do you feel about it being applied to college admissions?
I feel like it's very misunderstood. People think that it allows unqualified people of color to have a better chance of getting into college, but once you look at it, most colleges are actually 4 to 8% black, or black. And what it really does is it gives these kids who don't have a chance usually to have a chance at higher education. Like, for example, if you're growing up in an inner city school, you're not going to have access to a lot of APs or computers or textbooks that like we have, and it's kind of like compensating for that, and I feel like it's very misunderstood, and I'm for it. And I feel like if it's used correctly, then it could better society for that.
Yeah.
Picked into college because they feel bad for him, but a white person gets into college easily, right? So they should just pick the person because they're people. They're not some object.
Okay, how do you feel about it being applied to college admissions?
Well, I think it's needed because usually African Americans are looked at as less than, and so we need more power, I guess.
Pro or against it?
I'm indifferent. I'm somewhat leaning towards against it because I believe that if everyone wants to be on an equal playing field, they should be on an equal playing field, and that it is actually counterproductive in making people independent, and they're depending on this to help them get in when it should not matter at all what race is, and it should be just the best people possible.
How do you feel about it being applied to college admissions?
I think that it's
Are you for it or against it?
I'm against it.
Against it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because then it makes people that don't have like a different race, like if they're just white, it makes them kind of excluded.
Okay.
I think it creates an advantage for some people in some cases, and in other cases it doesn't help at all. So, I mean, I think there's a place for it, but it might be used a little too excessively sometimes.
You know what affirmative action is?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about it being applied to college admissions?
Part of me is like I'll benefit from it, so I don't mind it. But at the same time, it's not really like a fair advantage to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind it.
Well, I think that in life there are lots of things you can choose, and one of those things isn't race or gender, but you can choose to work really hard and get good grades and do all sorts of things to help you get into college. So I don't really like affirmative action in the sense that just because I'm like another white Jewish kid from suburban Westchester doesn't mean, and I work my ass, but I worked really hard.
Okay.
And I worked really hard to do well in school and then get into a good school. I don't think that another kid, just because of his background or her background, should then get a spot over me with a little bit less work, possibly.
I feel like it gives women and minorities like the chance to like help them in their education wise, like basically give them more opportunities for a better education and help them be more successful in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
I feel like it's a great idea for people like minorities, because they seem to be oppressed in our country right now. Like they don't have many opportunities as everybody else, so it will help them get ahead.
I think it's something that we should look forward to, because it's one more step for us minorities. It's one more boost to help us in a society that's basically been downgrading us since we were younger.
Do you know what affirmative action is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. How do you feel about it being applied to college admissions?
I think it's a really good idea because it could give a certain group of people an advantage that they might not have had before, and can help more people be successful through their college career and later in life.
I think it's fair. I feel like you earn your grades in high school, and whatever you get is how hard you work, you know?
But then you can't really say that, because like there's kids that they do a lot and they can't focus just on school, especially minorities.
And you can see that in their college application and their essay. So I feel like that's what they should focus on, because well, then that's their fault. Because at the end of the day, no, because like honestly, like in your essay, you're supposed to say like what your whole life is about, and like if you work, they can see that. They'll be like, oh well, this person's doing that, you know? Like they'll take. I think that they should take everything into consideration.
What's your opinion on affirmative action?